see. Hey James, thanks for joining. Do you think you can hear me? Let's see. Hey James, thanks for joining. Oh, I think the audio is working. Fantastic. Thanks for joining. You made it for the test. This is very much a test production today, although we've got a tight timeline. Thanks for joining, James. You are the first one here. I think I might have an iPad going next to me that's also our second viewer, but we should have people joining in just about 6 minutes, so thanks so much. All right, let's try this again. See, did we get sound this time? If you can let me know in the chat whether you can hear me or not. Get sound this time? Huzzah, we have sound. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here today. I'm wearing a lot of different hats at the moment, so bear with me as I make it through all of this. Thank you so much for being here. This is the live stream for the end of season 5 for the XR Film Fund. I'm really passionate about this event, and hopefully by the end of this live stream, you'll have a better sense of what are the exciting projects that are being supported. What does it take to actually contribute to the XR Film Fund and to Artizen.fund, and just get excited about this world and what's coming next. So the XR Film Fund champions pioneers in the frontier of storytelling. You know, people who dare to combine new technologies with to make this kind of more powerful empathy machine, right? We want to give people new ways to dream. So as an immersive filmmaker myself, I've been both motivated and beaten down by the lack of support, right? When you're building something totally new from the ground up, there's nothing to climb. There's no stairs, let alone an elevator. And the only way we can make something better is, finding these clues, these pieces wherever we can. A new device here, a new software here, a YouTube tutorial right when you need it. In other words, community, right? That's how we create new art forms, new ways to tell stories. And and so in looking for community in that, my wife and I, as well as other creators you'll hear from tonight, stumbled upon this radical website called Artizen.fund. And I actually have the founder here with me tonight to talk a little bit more about what's going on with this crazy thing, how it works, and how to get involved. So give me a second to get him on board. Let's give this a go. René, are you there? Let's see. All right, René, can you hear me? Oh, fantastic. I'm hearing double. Can anyone tell in the chat if they're hearing double? I'll give it a second all to load. Oh, they're saying they cannot hear you, René. Let's see. Thank you. Thanks everybody for the patience. There's a lot going on I think what's going on is there might be an audio input issue. Let's try. I've got you up there. Okay, yeah, let's give that a try. All right, and let's see. It'll take a second to load. All right, let me know in the chat. Is that working? I've got a... No, it's not going through. Let's see. Oh. And we've got a third person joining. Apologies, everyone, for the technical difficulties at the moment. Still figuring out this new channel. StreamYard. Okay, Okay, yes. Everyone on the live stream, apologies for the technical difficulties. Please give me 10 minutes to get this figured out. We'll be back about 6:15 to 6:20. Thank you. All right, let's give this a try. Oh, Renee, would you talk for me?
Snibble snop, snooby dop, bibble bibble
Oh,
bibble bop.
I think we've done it.
Snaggy snoo. It's doing it.
We
All right.
confirm in the
It,
chat. Heard.
all right.
Fantastic. Okay, we are
We
back
are
in
live.
business. Great. That gave a few more people the chance to show up.
All
And we
right.
actually have our first creator waiting for us very patiently. But first and foremost, everybody please give a warm welcome to René Pinnel, the founder of Artizen.
Hi,
Yes.
everyone.
Of some emoji love, as René likes to say in our chat. And I have René, we're running behind from some technical difficulties, but I'd love to ask you a couple questions. First and foremost, I think what people often have on their mind around Artizen is how the heck does this thing work?
All right.
Can you give us a little breakdown, your quick spiel about what is Artizen, how does it work for people, and who it's really there to support?
Yeah, sure. So, Artisan is a funding platform. We fund everything from art to science to uh, technology to culture and all the interesting spaces in between those disciplines. And the way we fund work is we empower community leaders like yourself to create funds to support the people, the projects, the causes that matter most to them and to their community. And so Xander is running one of many funds on Artisan. Of course, Xander's fund is focused on XR filmmaking, but we've got funds on decentralized science. We've got funds on female music producers. We've got funds on more traditional filmmaking, flatties, as we call them in the immersive industry. So there's all these funds on different topics, and people can contribute money to those funds if they are inspired by the topic and the focus, and they want to put their capital behind the most innovative people in their community. And whatever money is pooled, creators compete for. And the way they compete for that money is by submitting project proposals. People vote on those projects. Each fund director gets to decide how many projects make it through the curation process. But based on how many votes the projects receives, they get put on a leaderboard. And if a fund is going to select 5 projects or 2 projects or 10 projects, we just take the top 5 or 2 or 10, and those become the selected curated projects that then compete for however much money is in that fund. And the way they compete is they then go to their fans and they raise money in something that looks like a Kickstarter campaign. It's crowdfunding, with the added benefit of every dollar that they raise from their fans gets matched by not only your fund, Xander, but hopefully they've submitted and gotten curated for other funds. So that's how you get a dollar from a fan can become $2 or $3 or $5 or $10 in match funding, depending on how many funds you've been curated for. And all of this happens on a seasonal basis. So we're in season 5 right now, and like 23 hours and 42 minutes from now, we will select the projects for season 5, and the curation phase of the season will end, and the competition phase will start. And so that's where we are right now.
It's
And
exciting. It's scary. It is a crazy time over here at Artisan, and I'm so happy to have people on this live stream. You're hosting a live stream tomorrow, is that right?
yes, this will be
In,
the
mhm.
final event of the season, noon to 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'll
Yes.
throw a link into the chat here if anybody wants to join that.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you, Renee. Yeah, that is the big climax of this season. But it's not the end, right? This is the curation phase where projects submit, and in the next 23 hours, we're going to find out which projects qualify, right, for the
Correct.
top slots. But soon they're
Correct.
going to be able to sell their own digital artifacts and collectibles. And if you're on my mailing list for the XR Film Fund, you'll get more information about that and how to support direct projects. Thank you so much, Renee, for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll have you on in the next one, I hope, and I can't wait to see your live stream tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll just go into watch mode on YouTube, and if anybody wants to ask a question, I'll be in the chat, and you can just hit me up there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and excited to see all
Awes-
the projects presenting. I'll vote for them.
Fantastic. Yes, and I encourage anyone who hasn't yet signed up for Artisan, who might be watching, take this time, take this opportunity to sign up, and you'll see some awesome projects that you will get to vote for and support absolutely for free with the 500 or so votes that you get. Um, and give some feedback in the chat and ask your questions. Speaking of, we have a great next project coming up. Just figuring out a lot of this technical side as we go. So I'm going to ask Ulrico, thank you. Yes, join me. All right. And Renee, I'm going to let you figure out how to dip out of
Exactly.
here.
All right. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you, Renee. Awesome. Ulrico, is that right?
Correct, yes.
So nice to meet you. I've seen you through the site, through your project, but I'm so excited to hear more. So it's been a little bit of a crazy time coordinating for this. Different creators have different ways they want to present. Do you have something you want to share, or do you want to just talk? What would you like?
Yeah, I'll try share. If it doesn't work, then I'll just go into freestyle mode. But let's give it a little try here. You can just confirm if you can see that on your side.
Yes, I think it came across nice and easy.
Amazing.
Well, let's confirm in the chat. People will see it very soon. I'm having a blast. This is great. I think everyone can see clearly. So go right ahead, Ulrico.
Fantastic. Well, great. Super excited to be here. Great to meet you, Xander. I'm calling in from Johannesburg, South Africa. It is 22 past midnight here, so I suppose happy Friday, everybody.
Wow, thank you so much for being here this late.
Yeah, no problem at all. Always love speaking about the project and meeting other creators. So great to be here. And yeah, speaking of the future, I'm here to present our project, the Future Zoo. So if it's okay with you, I'll just jump right in. And I'm gonna try and time
Absolutely.
myself.
Please
Yeah,
go right ahead.
super, great. So just a bit of background. So I'm the executive director of the Habitat Nature Parks Foundation, also the CEO of Habitat XR. Habitat XR was formed 11 years ago as a nature-focused immersive experiences studio. We've produced work across 19 different countries around the world, from anyone from conservation NGOs to government agencies to the odd philanthropist and celebrity. We started out in 360 video, which I know is pretty much the focus of the fund, live action, but we've also branched out into 3D VR, AR, projection mapping, holograms, and various other technologies in the XR suite.
Wow.
So the Habitat Nature Parks Foundation, this is the inaugural project of that foundation. It's a registered nonprofit in South Africa. And just some of the partners we've worked with over the years. But there are quite a few more of these. As you can imagine, we've been doing this full time for over a decade. So our project starts from a pretty simple idea, and it's that saving wildlife and conservation is actually ultimately about people and not about nature. And I think sometimes that gets missed. We've had the benefit of being in the field many times, and it's really important what is happening on the front lines. But at the end of the day, what's happening on planet Earth and the sort of toxic relationship we currently have as humans with our environment around us, is preventable, is solvable, and that's kind of the focus of our project. And we think that part of the issue is that people are just disconnected in very dense urban living environments, big cities. It displaces nature. It doesn't allow us to keep that connection. And we know that when people are connected to nature, when they spend time in it, when they get to learn new things and be in a state of awe, they tend to love it. They tend to protect it because they love it. The problem with cities is that doesn't get to happen for a lot of people. And I grew up in South Africa. We've got amazing access to nature. We've got loads of national parks. And I kind of thought everybody in the world had that kind of access until I grew up and realized how privileged indeed that I was. And the other kind of really big nugget that I've learned over the last decade or so is that Field conservation, on the front lines, saving rhinos, saving pangolins, restoring coral reefs, etc. All of that kind of stuff really does have to happen. But in and of itself, it's quite symptomatic. It's very, in my opinion, it's quite unsustainable. And so to make everything truly sustainable, we just believe that the public have to be engaged, and we have to look at a very wide kind of human environmental culture change shift into the future. So just a couple of things about environmental education and the importance of it based on where we are in the world right now. But, I think the number one thing we're always trying to do in our work is we're trying to help people understand that whether or not we live in cities and whether we like it or not, we are actually all part of one massive ecosystem that is, completely homogenous and connected. And a lot of people don't believe that. We have a problem with a form of empathy called inclusion in nature of self. And a huge number of people on Earth don't actually think that they are a part of nature. They think that cities are the opposite of nature. And in some ways they are, but it is all connected. We're obviously dealing with we're all living in a very, very unique point in human history, particularly with climate change and biodiversity loss. And so illustrating these very, very complex topics is something that is hugely important for modern environmental education, and something that isn't currently happening in a lot of facilities that kind of claim to be all about environmental education. More importantly than just understanding it is also about empowering people with how it is that we actually solve this climate crisis. What do we need to do on a micro level? What do we need to do on a macro level? And we've got some really interesting tools in the XR tool set to be able to do that. We obviously want to spark wonder. We want people to go and pursue real nature. I get asked all the time, is digital, nature through VR and AR, is that designed to replace nature? And the answer is no, it's really not. It's about planting a seed. It's about lighting a spark in people to want to pursue something that they might not ever otherwise have wanted to kind of be a part of. And lastly, it's really important that we're inspiring career paths into this world, because the planet needs people to come up with really smart, innovative solutions. One of the other really kind of sad truths of where we're at right now is that it's harder and harder, it's more expensive and more logistically difficult for people to access pristine nature for themselves. And so if that is the case, how do we maintain connection between humans and nature at scale? Our answer to this is called the Future Zoo. So what it is a physical space. This is not in the metaverse. This is a physical space. And this physical space democratizes access to immersive technologies. And through them, we're democratizing access to nature. And really, we looked at a lot of different models. And, the model of the 200-year-old zoo or aquarium or natural history museum is not a bad model. The challenge is that the instrument of captivity turns out is not a very effective and not a very ethical form of environmental education, and hasn't done a great job over the last 200 years, clearly, at fostering empathy in the 800 million or so people that visit these places every single year, which is about 10% of the world's population.
Wow. That's a staggering number.
It's insane. And in that lies the opportunity for the future. So for us, just a little bit of concept art, some early concept art for imagining spaces that combine a bit of tactility, projection mapping, augmented reality. What could these spaces look like and feel like? Another truth is, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but VR has been seen as very, very difficult to scale. And I don't entirely buy into that, because what's even more difficult to scale than immersive tech is this access that we keep talking about, the access to physical nature. It's actually easier for us to scale immersive technologies as a way to keep people connected, and that's pretty fundamental to what we've learned over the years. And just in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all 6 of these. But there are numerous differences between traditional zoos and the future zoos that, for us creates a really compelling solution and kind of really reimagines environmental education for a more modern world. Right now, where we are is we are busy establishing the pilot. The pilot is based in Johannesburg, South Africa. We found a great place to host this. We hope to reach all of our fundraising targets by the end of the year to be able to then start with our installation. We hope that that'll take 3 to 4 months to complete the installation for the first set of exhibits, and then be able to launch this in probably early Q3 2026. And then the big picture for us is that once we've got this place, it's part public, public benefit space, but it's also part R&D lab. This is where we get to experiment with the effectiveness of empathy. This is where we get to actually measure, and unlike a lot of the really compelling studies that do measure empathy in terms of instantaneous empathy right after, let's say, a VR experience, we want to be able to measure the lifetime value of this. We want to measure 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years after people have experienced something that has been quite touching, to really prove the case once and for all that these technologies are incredibly powerful at attitude and behavior change. So this is the current space. This is the pilot in Johannesburg, an awesome and pretty famous art gallery. This is a place that we've secured, which is about 1,200 square meters of exhibit space and about 700 square meters of outdoor space that will also be part of the exhibit. Just speaking about some of the live action projects, the immersive live action projects that are coming up. Anyone who knows anything about conservation will know that Dr. Sylvia Earle is royalty. She has been on planet Earth for a very long time, about as long as David Attenborough. She's very, very well known. And we've been in production for this immersive stereoscopic cinematic VR film called Beneath the Blue for quite a while. And so that's super exciting that it's going to feature her. It'll have the voice of Dr. Sylvia Earle, and she gives a really kind of compelling pitch right at the beginning of the film. And some of the other live action that we're going to have in the initial installation is we've got a series of films that are actually kind of long form for immersive. These are between 30 and 45 minutes each. The series is called Nature in Motion, and each one is stylistically quite different. But we'll kind of really immerse people. And the use case for this is it's a curved LED wall. So it's basically 180 degrees, sort of like a mini cosm or a mini Vegas sphere. That's going to be installed in the ground area inside the future zoo. So various different films. And what this fund is going to help us with is being able to dub these films, which do currently exist, but dub them into local languages, which we've never had the opportunity to do. And it's also going to help us with completing production on Beneath the Blue. So just to close off, I mean, again, probably preaching to the choir, but I am of the opinion that these immersive technologies that currently exist and the ones that don't even exist yet but are going to soon are by far the most powerful attitude and behavior changing tools that we've ever had available. And I think this is the time that we need to be able to deploy them the most. And I'm extremely optimistic and hopeful about what can happen here in terms of lasting impact and making sure that people are connected to nature into the future.
Wow, absolutely incredible. I think the chat is already sharing this opinion, but this is really very, very cool project, and I think something so many people can really get behind. You know, I can definitely relate to the experience of going to zoos and loving it, but also having this weight behind it of these animals are in captivity, that this is not really an ideal situation, I suppose, right? And like you said, 10% of the world's people have visited these zoos and yet don't have an attitude towards nature that really works towards conservation. So I loved what you're sharing. I love this project. I remember early on while I'm curating these projects for what qualifies, right? I saw your project and thought, wow, this is so cool, but it's not narrative, it's not storytelling. And in fact, you responded with an article written about one of your narrative films, one of your VR narrative projects. And I thought that was really inspiring, not just that you're building something so big, such a huge concept, but also breaking it down into smaller pieces that are in and of themselves very new and very exciting. So I think this is just such a cool project. Thank you so much for sharing. I have one question for you. What I want to
Sure.
do with the next segment is actually show people the site. It looks like maybe links aren't allowed in the live stream chat at the moment. So next up, I'm going to actually share my own screen and take a look at Artizen. But before we do that, I want to ask you a little bit about your experience with the site. Is season 5 your first season with Artizen?
Interesting question, because before it was called Artizen, I think it was called Kaleidoscope. So I'd been part of one of the projects that we did on showcasing Africa's Big Five, was actually partially funded on Kaleidoscope back in the day. So it's really great to come full circle and see all of the improvements. And I think René sent a mail out today talking about the 7 or 8 year iteration journey to get to this point. And so, yeah, we've been waiting in the wings of the season 5 for a while, and it's super exciting to just see the platform, and we're looking really forward to the next phase now.
Yeah, I can absolutely relate to that journey. In fact, I remember working at a VR arcade. I was an intern, and somebody, asking about where the heck do you get funding for any of this stuff? It costs money, but nobody wants to pay for it. And somebody mentioned this thing called Kaleidoscope, maybe .VR or something like that. Renee's laughing at us already. Hello, I'm gonna turn your video off for just a second. Sorry, still figuring out the technicals. But speaking about Kaleidoscope, was those early days, and I think René with this season has brought in a bunch of new blood, or blood that has seen it before, and I think attracted a lot of people back to the platform. I think things are starting to click and start to be more clear and make more sense. Is that something you're relating to?
Absolutely, on my side, yeah, cool. No doubt about it.
Well, Ulrico, thank you so much for talking to us today and sharing the Future Zoo. I'm going to take a second to show people how they can support you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being here, Xander.
Yes, thank you. All right. And we've got Selva here in just a second. Thank you for joining me. Give me 2 minutes to share something with our audience. All right. That should pop up. So I just really wanted to share with you guys what Artizen actually looks like. It's this crazy idea, but it's more than an idea. It really works, and it actually looks pretty cool in my book. So this is your main page, and it tells you loud and clear, this is about giving money to people who deserve it, to the projects that matter most to your community, to fund human creativity. And right here on the main page, you can see the cool stuff that is being funded, being supported. We have projects with over 20,000 votes, and even on our site, on our fund, we have projects with that much momentum. Something helpful to know is when you start an account, you'll get started up here. You'll get 500 points right away. And when you vote with each click, and you'll get to vote 500 times right away. So you actually have quite a bit of power. And I really encourage everyone on this live stream, if you haven't joined, take the opportunity to make a difference absolutely for free. And I just want to pull up, these are the funds, right? Some are making huge impact. We've got our XR Film Fund right here. And on the left, we have our ranks, missing the word at the moment. But we've got an exciting competition going on. And you can take a look directly at these projects. Here, that didn't go into the new one. But here's the Future Zoo. You can find it from this fund, or you can open it directly and give it. You can see we've even had a conversation in it, and you'll vote. I've got a pro account, which lets me vote 10 times at a time. But I really encourage you guys to listen to these presentations and support the projects you're excited about. All right. So I'm going to remove my screen and bring back Selva. Hi, Selva, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
Okay, did I get your name right?
Yes, my name is Selva.
Fantastic. And you're here to present Echo Blast, is that right?
Yes, yes, I'm here to
Great.
present Ecoblast.
Do you want to screen share? Would you like to talk? Would you like me to share your project page?
No, I think I'd like to talk. Yes.
Fantastic. Go
Yeah,
right
of
ahead.
course. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you, Sander, for the opportunity of coming here and showcase our project. It's been a pleasure to exchange with the community of Artizen also. It's been lovely to get to know other creators and people that are getting funding movements around the world. It's amazing to see such different and very broad spectrum of projects from a lot of like very socially implied projects and creators also. Well, my name is Selva Gonzalez. I am a Chilean XR creator. I have a studio that's called Nanai Studio. It's a boutique studio that I created with one of my best friends. That's Natalia Cabrera, that is the creative technologist and artistic director of our studio. And there we develop VR immersive experiences based on uh, science divulgation, based on environmental issues, based on territorial problematics that we face, both as Latin American, but as people that live in this planet. The project that I'm here right now to pitch and present to you guys is called Ecoblast. It's a project that it touched me very personal. It's a project that I've been working on for quite a long time. And it's a project that I wrote and directed since at least 4 years. That has been the development of the project. Yes. Ecoblast, it's an immersive experience. It's created for virtual reality, where you get to embody the perspective of a bat and use echolocation as your main game dynamic. The idea is to use echolocation to move around the space as a way to use VR as a medium to allow people to live a different perspective on this world, but also use echolocation as a metaphor to see in the darkness. Why are we doing this? It's because in the darkness, there's a lot of things that are captive, a lot of things that are in the shadows, that for us, it's something very important to put a light on. This project is created around the idea of putting a light and a focus on the experience of victims of child sex abuse. CSA is something that it has getting bigger and bigger every year. Victims are growing in numbers, especially exponentially after the pandemics. That was something that was an aggravant. As a survivor myself, it has become something very important to put forward in our agenda, in our political and our communitary agenda, especially because it's something that is a worldwide problem. So we try to use VR as a medium to generate empathy towards a person that is suffering of this loss of confidence, of this loss of trust. That is one of the principal main issues that happens to victims. So in this experience that it's Ecoblast, you get to use echolocation to move around this dark space. You don't get to see things visually very clear, so you have to use waves of sound that are translated in VR into vibrations. We are using echolocation, so you shoot vibrations into the space and you see a road to move around. This road is created inside a labyrinth. What we do is that depending on the experience that you are going to live inside this world, the labyrinth is going to change. But it's going to change playing with your perspective of where you think you should go. Why is that so important? It's because in the process of developing this project, we've realized that one of the most damaging things for survivors of these kind of crimes has to do with the loss of confidence, the loss of trust. And I think people don't understand how damaging and how profound the loss of trust can be and how can affect you in normal everyday things. So what we're trying to do is by putting you inside this maze, inside this labyrinth, and trying to make you guide yourself through this space, we are going to play it with trust to try to make you understand what it feels when you are advancing in a place where you don't know where to move or how to move, and things are changing, what it feels when you lose trust in yourself, when you lose trust in your own inner instinct on how to move. We are using this poetic approach to the loss of trust also to build awareness on how much confidence should be something that we should be reinforcing, especially in youth. I think the world is now realizing how important confidence is on a lot of different scales, but I think it's quite more impactful to touch it in this early development stage. When people are young, when people are forming themselves, is when confidence is most transcendental. It's part of the identity building process that every human and every life has in this world. And we think it's important to put a light on child use, on child and youth confidence. So EcoBlast it's this whole project is around this. It's a very complete exercise because we are working with bats. For example, we started researching with zoologists. So we're working with a group of preservation that are teaching us different other things that are related with the construction of an avatar bat. How are we able to feel? How our hands are going to be able to move? How are we going to understand their process of flying? Because as a flying mammal, as a flying animal, it has a very specific way of flying. It has a very specific way of understanding space also. So through this research with zoologists, with preservation scientists, we've been able to create a much more complete script that it's able to also target this part of environmental issues that we love touching also as creators. From another hand, we are working with Fundación para la Confianza, that is the Foundation for Trust. They are the ones that are giving us professional guidance with lawyers, with psychologists, with psychiatrists that are guiding us in creating both the perspective of yourself, of who you would understand as a victim, how it is that you lost your trust, what it is to listen to your inner thoughts and not understand or being able to trust them also, and also what it is the process of trying to look for help. What happens when you are lost and you don't know how to reach further and you cannot trust your innate instinct? What is the construction? What is the process of reaching for help? That we think, and what we've been able to gather through our research is one of the most important things towards putting a line on this scribe towards prevention. We believe that towards building more prevention, it has to do to building awareness of the process of looking for help, how sometimes people are looking it on you, and how are we able to give it to others. So our impact campaign is built in these both parts, both in the bad perspective, but also in the victim perspective on how we can build awareness towards this crime. And on another hand, because we come from film, me and Natalia, we are both film majors. Our storytelling is very guided by this. The whole development part of the project has been created inside the film world. This project has been presented in incredible spaces as the Cinemart, that is the market for emerging and development projects in Rotterdam Film Festival. We presented this project at the XR Art Fair in New Images in Paris. We presented this project at the Docs Exchange in Doc Leipzig in Germany. And we continue to enhance the line of collaborators of the project. We have just signed a co-production with a partner in France, in Paris, that has us very exciting. This year we will apply to the CNC fund together. We won funding already from the state of Chile for the early development of the project. That has allowed us to also create amazing collaborators and also build a team of people that are making the project more realistic and at the same time are giving a lot of blood to the project in very different ways. I am very proud to say that our team is female-led, it's entirely LGBT, and it's also with a huge international repercussions. We are working with a Grammy-nominated artist, Camila, that's a Chilean creator, but it's also based in Mexico. She's doing the music with us. We are working with amazing graphic designers, concept artists, a whole team of amazing people that I would encourage you to try to look for our dossier of the project that you can find in Artizen. And also look for us in our social media and in different other platforms. You can find different information about the project. We have already, I would say, like an alpha prototype version where we have started to play with echolocation, with the exercise. We are working with our ER development team.
That is so exciting. What an incredible project. That is beautiful and scary and empowering altogether. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. I think you've won some new fans. Absolutely. I know several people on this call who will be following your journey. I really encourage people to vote for Echo Blast this season, and as the transition changes, really encourage you to buy artifacts and support this project because it is powerful. Selva, you're doing great work. It's incredible art and you're pushing it clearly to the best of your ability. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really, this is fantastic. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for this space. I think it's incredibly valuable also to exchange within the XR environment. We are very lucky enough to say that we participate a lot in different exchange, in festivals. Our previous project has been showcased in Sundance. We have projects that have participated in the Venice Film Festival, and we feel part of the environment, but there's so many new people coming. So I encourage everyone to come into XR and try to get to know us as creators. It's a whole different world, especially if you're coming from film, but it's a lovely space also.
Yeah. It is, yes. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Xander.
Wonderful. And do we have James on the call? Let me see. In the meantime, while we're waiting for James, I'd love to share what this project looks like. Looks like we've got him joining. But definitely highly encourage you to support this project all the way through. We've got Echo Blast. And when you go on to a project, you can see these are the 4 paragraphs that kind of tell you the meat of it all. You've got their PDF, their pitch deck to share, and what they've submitted for. So this one is actually just curated for this fund. So again, love this project, really want to see it succeed. All right. James, are you there? I have someone who joined, but I don't have their video. He says, yes, I'm here. Can you try leaving and coming back, James? Let's see if this does it. I think that's going to work. Can you say hi?
Hey, hey.
Hey, there you are. Everybody, I'm so proud to have James on the call here today. In fact, we met years ago at this point at a writers community called Tuesdays at 9. James is a very talented writer, and he heard me talking about immersive filmmaking and said, oh, I started working on that with another collaborator. And he's been working on this really exciting script and project that I'm excited to let him tell you more about.
Thank you, Xander. Thanks, everybody, for what's been already stretching the imagination for what is possible in this media. I am the where we can go in the future with even you know what the limits of this project are already expanding beyond what we thought, just by virtue of, I mean, echolocation. That's, wow, unbelievable, and the future zoo too. So I'm honored to be a part of this amazing group of creators. So I'm also very excited to tell you about my series, which is called Junius Brutus Booth. It is named for a sort of forgotten figure in history, a fascinating figure, the father of both Edwin Booth and, although this doesn't play into my series, also the sort of infamous John Wilkes as well, just to place us in history, early 19th century theatrical family. And I conceived of this series as a VR piece in order to fully realize the adventure mystery of the story. So it is set in a place that is very near to my heart, which is New York City, but in a time with which I can't say I'm intimately familiar, which is 1835, on an evening when Junius Booth, as he was wont to do, goes missing before a curtain. And our protagonist is a young woman named Josephine, who has her own connection to Booth, which we learn a little bit more about later in the story, who is tasked to retrieve this troublesome figure through the back alleys of the Bowery, of New York's Bowery, and ally with some very unmistakable characters, both actually historical and imagined as well. And I'm really thrilled about the potential of this to animate a new generation of people who are perhaps more, the reasons for donning a set of immersive headsets, XR and VR headsets, are a little more self-evident, and the reasons for getting interested in Shakespeare, for getting interested in the history of New York, for getting interested in American history, are less evidently so. So by creating a exciting and urgent and visceral experience, which puts you right in the center of the action over the course of 4 12-minute episodes, then you have the opportunity to take part in chasing down this quite unmistakable character. So
yeah, that is so cool. So thrilling. I love this project, and I think it highlights something that is wonderful about Artizen, is that it can champion projects in different stages of development, right? What's so cool about this project is the script is done, right? You have 4 12-minute episodes written, and they're written for VR. right? So the audience is transported, really, as you're saying, to the
Absolutely.
1830s to experience what theater was like then, and New York City was like then, and the back alleys, and all in
Most
this
definitely.
mystery adventure.
Absolutely. And it puts you right too in the center of the social and class dynamics of the time too. Still to this day, we are having the debate about who does literature matter to, who, you
Mm,
know, who's the rightful heir and organizer of Shakespeare to this day. And it was the cause, that very debate was the cause back in that time of riots
yeah,
and very deeply felt allegiances to actors who represented the working class and to actors who were espoused largely by the upper class, the English Americans as they call themselves. But Booth is a resoundingly American favorite, which is why he's one of my favorites, and why it's an opportunity to introduce a new generation of lovers of literature to one of its great practitioners. And it's also, Xander, an
mhm,
amazing alignment with the XR Film Fund. I was so excited to see what you were doing with this fund, because this is a narrative driven VR experience that I have conceived fully. It's a historical fiction, and to my knowledge, that there hasn't been anything like it. It's the opportunity to do something that is really on the vanguard of this medium. Although I after having heard the other pitches today, I you know I the vanguard that those seem very particularly on the cutting edge too. I can't wait to experience
yeah.
that amazing bat point of view. That was spoken.
Absolutely. I think we've
Incredible.
got so far three incredible projects that are so wide ranging in how they use the medium, and how they tell stories and why they tell stories. And I'm so proud to be supporting these projects. I wanted to highlight yours. I think something very cool about yours is this image right here on Artizen that's called the artifact, right? And that'll become the digital collectible that will essentially be your T-shirts for sale, right? The merch that you sell to raise capital for the project. Um, so Junius Brutus Booth, this project has been right on the cusp of curation. So I really want to support people to vote for this project. You can see I've voted quite a bit myself. I have a lot of excitement for this project, especially as a narrative storyteller myself. But I really encourage you all to give this one a lot of love.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Xander. Thank you.
Yes. Let me see. Uh, I was going to check if there were questions in the chat. If anyone's listening and would like to, feel free to ask any questions you have about projects that you're seeing. Um, James, can you tell me a little bit about when you first heard about this actor, Junius Brutus Booth?
It was in a review
Hmm.
of a contemporaneous, of course, with his life. He was the favorite actor of Walt Whitman, and I have this great collection of New York stories and documents, and was reading that and was curious, trying to brush up on my Whitman, and it turned out that um, just there was this fiery, short-statured figure that was the greatest interpreter of Shakespeare that Whitman had ever seen. So I wanted to dive in more deeply, and he has a great biography written about him. I've been recently to the Players in New York, which was founded by his son. An amazing.
I wanted to
Um,
ask you about that.
it was a fabulous fact-finding mission. I found a document that I couldn't find anywhere online with the archivist at the Players, an incredible resource. Um, So yeah, it was yeah, that was my way in.
That's awesome. We have a question. Is this a live action project? Is this shot with cameras and actors?
Yeah, Tessanella, it absolutely is. It will unfold very much akin to a teleplay, actually. The episodes are spaced into 3 scenes a piece, basically, and they will unfold in continuous action, featuring a pretty substantial cast of actors. You know, I have a background directing and writing for theater, and so this is an amazing opportunity to fuse both, as we've said, you know, this absolutely, you know, cutting edge technology with a kind of classic discipline, and which is putting me, as David Bowie said, like right outside of that comfort zone, where right where you want to be, where your feet just barely can't touch the ground when you're swimming out beyond that. So I'm so excited to take on the challenge.
Very well said. I love this project. This is exactly the type of thing I envision as what excites me the most, what got me involved with this sort of medium and storytelling in general. And I really wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for joining us, James.
It's my pleasure, Xander. Thank you for having me, and thank you and congratulations to the other project as well.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna give a second, looking for creator by the name of Beth to join. We had one creator unfortunately have to drop out. Looks like they're on another event potentially that's going long. This is the deadline. Sorry, and I'm stuttering a lot because I still have my voice coming back into my ear with a little bit of delay. And man, it's tripping me up, but we're working through it. So we'll give Beth another opportunity to join, give her a few minutes with this awesome project called Eye Contact, a tech opera. But in the meantime, I'll tell you a little bit more about why Artizen is so exciting and why this time is really crazy. We've got 23 hours left in season 5 for the curation phase, which is technically the deadline to submit, and projects are submitting still. But it's also the deadline to vote, to decide which projects will take those top slots and then move on to the next month of competing for that funding. So how that works exactly is the projects that are curated, that make those top slots, will then compete by selling artifacts, those digital collectibles that we talked about later. And every dollar earned by selling those are matched by each fund that you're curated for. So a project that's curated for 2 funds, say, might sell an artifact for $10. And then that project then gets in funding $30. So it's really an exciting opportunity. The project that raises the most in that stretch will also get 10% of the fund as a cash prize. Any funds that are not earned, that are not won through artifact sales, then carry over to the next season. And speaking of that next season, in 23 hours is when project submission opens for season 6. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. This was a little bit of a clunky one. I've been learning a lot through this whole process about streaming and hosting and sharing. But I'm so proud of these projects that got to share, the projects that are being curated. And I think this is just such an awesome journey. Thank you, René, for joining us, for sharing a little bit more about the site. And I hope you all take the opportunity to get involved, to interact with the site, and really support these awesome projects. So that's it for the XR Film Fund live stream for season 5. I'll be sharing links with especially the people who joined, who I have your contact information of. It looks like René was trying to share some links, but maybe YouTube blocked that. And I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much, and have a great night.